Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Constant Barnacle in the True Off My Chest subreddit. The post is titled, "I Ruined My Wife's Life." I am a 43-year-old man trying my best to provide for my wife, who is 38, and our two children, ages 3 and 5, as well as my mother-in-law. I would like to think I'm doing a decent job. Over the years, I have worked to improve our family's living situation. Not only did I complete another bachelor's degree and recently a master's in a STEM-related field, but I also worked 2 full-time jobs while completing my second bachelor's and put my wife through school as well. She completed a degree in a healthcare field where she could make good money, around $60,000 to $70,000 per year, and jobs are always available. However, with the birth of our 2 children, she has since given up on her career to be a stay-at-home mom for the time being. At first, it was a struggle while I was finishing my master's. Once I completed it, after our youngest turned 3, my career took a jump and we are now able to afford our single-income household in a more feasible manner. We are far from rich, but do okay for a single-income family of 4, earning a little north of $150,000 base plus bonuses. The past year, life was overwhelming for my wife, so even though I now work 75% from home, I budgeted to hire a daytime nanny to help her around the house with one child while the other is in school. My day starts every day around 5:30 to 6 a.m. I get the house ready for the day before the nanny comes at 8 a.m., get our oldest up and ready for school, make breakfast, plan out my day, drop off our oldest, and be home in time to let the nanny in. My most recent task at work has me grounded for the next 2 months, meaning I am now 100% working from home. While this is nice, I am busy in meetings all day as my role manages teams on a global scale and oversees projects in my industry. For the past 1.5 months, I realized that my wife, as much as she says her life is stressful at home, starts her day at 10 a.m. I asked my mother-in-law and nanny if this was always the case after a week or so of working from home, and they both responded more or less the same. Sometimes earlier, sometimes later. My wife literally wakes up, cooks, and then scrolls through her phone or shops from home, which brings me to my gripe. I am glad I'm able to provide her that sort of life since we both grew up lacking in means. I understand the possibility of postpartum depression, the stress of having kids, the feeling of being unfulfilled, and the fact that I probably am a bad husband. But for what it's worth, everything is taken care of and then some. I manage the household finances, pay all the household bills, pay my own personal bills, pay her bills, track and perform all the upkeep of our house, appliances, cars, pets, and so on. I also help pay for my mother-in-law's medical bills and car note, but apparently my life is easy compared to hers. I cannot decompress to her because it seems like she always feels the need to one-up me. I had a bad day, but she had it worse because I am lucky I got to go away and work. My feet hurt from walking all day during work travel, which is nothing compared to her standing and cooking with a child clinging to her. For the past 2 or so years, I have been told I ruined her life, her opportunities, and so on. But when I remind her of what she says, she denies and dodges accountability. My mother-in-law has brought me aside and stated she has noticed a change in both myself and my wife. I have a greater attachment to my kids, and honestly, I have hugged the dogs and talked to them more about my life than to my wife. I feel like I am in emotional survival mode as I am 1 step from moving up the career ladder and 1 step away from finding love and comfort at the bottom of a whiskey bottle. I am sure I will hear from the manly men of Reddit about how I am simping, but I am not a machine. I just want to know and feel that someone I prioritize, aside from my kids, appreciates and loves me for what I do. I am also sure I will hear from the stay-at-home moms of Reddit, which is fine. I grew up in a single-parent, mother-headed household. It is not easy, and honestly, with the help of her mother and a nanny Monday through Friday for one toddler while another child is at school, can you honestly tell me she is having the typical stay-at-home mom experience? Because neither my friends nor colleagues who are single parents can say she is. I am sure the masses of holier-than-thou Redditors will consider this a poorly written fanfic, but it is what it is. Update. Thank you for the replies. To add more context, I have never cheated. I work in an industry with a large female population, but I am literally an open book at work. I name colleagues and staff under me, and she has access to my work agendas and correspondence if she really wanted to snoop. However, on that note, she still does not know exactly what I do for a living at this time. As a whole family, her parents and mine, we have tried to get her to go to therapy, but she refuses or skirts around the issue. Aside from my coming from a single mother household per se, my biological father was present in my life. She has had both parents in a reportedly monogamous marriage for over 40 years. I have tried to talk to her about everything and my own feelings, but again, one-upmanship tends to be the trend here. When asked what I am getting out of the marriage, aside from my 2 beautiful kids, I have been asking myself that same question. We have a near non-existent sex life mainly since last year. I always figured maybe it is part of depression or whatever she may be going through. Maybe I am just not attractive enough or just horrible in bed because of my health conditions. I am not some supermodel husband, but temptation and opportunity do knock, and I can still perform. However, I never give in because, as cliche as it sounds, I honestly do love my wife and want to only be with her. I will give credit where credit is due, as I do not want to sound biased. When I say she wakes up and cooks, she cooks for everyone in the house. Myself, the kids, my mother-in-law, and even the nanny. Aside from breakfast, she cooks all meals and snacks. I typically fast until lunchtime, and our oldest tends to eat a small, simple breakfast in case they do not like what school serves that morning. She does load both the kids and her laundry, but seldom folds and puts them away. I typically do my own, and the rest of my clothes I dry clean because they are work clothes. She does keep track of our pantry and fridge, but after she makes the list, I am the one who goes out and buys everything if it is not delivered. She cleans our bathrooms and house 50% of the time. The other 50% is done by either my mother-in-law, myself, or sometimes the nanny if she feels like being extra helpful. Prior to the nanny, my mother-in-law was the main help for my wife until she had unexpected medical needs. So I opted to hire a nanny to help them both. More so when my mother-in-law is having treatments and recovering. Update 2. Not sure if anyone will read this, but thank you to those who have reached out and chatted. While I know I have kept my newfound friends here updated, I figured I would just update my post and keep it short. I showed my wife my post the following weekend, and she read it along with all the comments. Long story short, we had an argument, she left our house to stay with her sister, and I have been a single parent since. It's sad to say, aside from saying goodnight to our kids, it's all pretty much the same routine. There is not much else to say other than thank you for all the kind words of encouragement. I just need to add that this post got bigger than I expected from a venting post, but I have responded to a few comments. Nonetheless, thank you for the comments and direct messages, and even more so for the offers to let me ruin your life. Haha. It has been the highlight of my day and night as I sit here drinking with my dog while everyone else is asleep. It feels depressingly sad that I feel I have to turn to random internet strangers for some sort of validation in my rant. My apologies in advance as I try to keep this as vague as possible. Update 3. First off, thank you for all the comments and direct messages. Some context and clarification, since admittedly my post was emotionally charged as I typed it up after another argument. After the birth of our children, our kids' pediatrician's office gave my wife postpartum depression screening forms. During the time of both births, she scored pretty high and was suggested to see a therapist. With our second child, she scored significantly higher, and we, or I should say I, made an effort to get her the help she needed. She refused, so my mother-in-law and nanny stepped in for support. I know what people will say or think, but this is one of the reasons I am not 100% ready to just give up and file our life together away. Also, I know silently suffering will not add to a healthy atmosphere in the near or long run for our kids' future, but neither would a bitter and hate-filled divorce. I know some have compared it to ripping off a bandage, saying it will hurt at first, but that pain goes away. But I would rather try to spare my kids from thinking that their parents ended up hating each other because of them or something along those lines. I have told a few people I talked to in direct messages since my last post a little more insight on my personal life. Prior to my promotion, I was a project manager managing teams and budgets, so out of habit, I planned for a lot of what ifs. That being said, I made a number of contingency plans if, sadly, things went south. So yes, I have talked to a lawyer, 3 actually. know our rights and what each of us is entitled to, have a draft settlement created and on hold until I feel I need to use it. I know what I want and am willing to offer more than what is fair for our kids' well-being, but I also have a plan if we end up going to court. It is 100% on me that I am suffering in silence, but I am too stubborn to just give up. So while I am venting, I do not expect anyone to feel sorry for me. I endure it to keep the norm our kids know, ensure my mother-in-law's treatments go uninterrupted, and of course, hope my wife will finally be open to giving therapy a shot so we can climb together to a better place. Thank you all again. I just wanted to update those who have been kind enough to check up via direct messages and comments. Apologies in advance for the lengthy post. It is a bit of irony and coincidence that I made a follow-up from the update on May 6th, 2024 during Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, but I could really use another outlet outside of my therapist. My apologies if this is not the storybook ending or the destruction of a relationship people were hoping for. To save you a read, my wife left, came back like nothing happened, made it about her, and nothing has changed. I am continuing to suffer mentally, knowing nothing will change while trying to keep it together for our kids. Lots of takeout. The day after she packed up and left, my wife attempted to come back and take the kids with her to her sister's. Naturally, I was against this, and thankfully so was her whole family, including said sister. Not only was it not fair to our kids for her to sweep them away into a home that is not theirs, but it would have put financial and housing stress on the rest of her family since she does not work, and her sister and her family stay with their dad in the house they grew up in. After a little over a week of being away, I guess she cooled off, so she just decided it would be fine if she walked in the door with her bags as if she had just come back from Target. She came into my office while I was working and angrily stared at me while I sat on a conference call meeting with my team, and I could not just jump off as this is a busy time of the quarter for us. I guess that did not sit well with her because once I took off my headset and closed my laptop, she started yelling at me about how much I really do not care about her and her well-being overall. At that moment, I could not do anything more than look at her and just shake my head. My mother-in-law came in after hearing my wife yelling and pulled her away, telling her not to bother me while our nanny kept our youngest away from it all on the other side of the house. That night, after the kids were put to bed, I sat in my office by myself with a drink, as I have been doing for the past few nights, and my wife came in. We talked, we argued, we cried, we drank. One thing led to another, and we were in bed. I wish I could say that was our making up, but the next sobering morning as we lay there, she went on about how hard it was for her the time she was gone. Literally, it was about her struggles staying at her family's house in her old room with her dad and sister's family. How lucky I am to be able to stay here and do this and that and buy this or do that and not stress as much as they did. How easy my life and everyone else's in our family is compared to hers, even though we had similar upbringings. My mind and heart broke that morning. I have been spiraling down since then, and this last week I made another attempt to reconcile and talk things out, but I was met with a shouting match while trying to express my current stress and anxieties with life and work in general. Wife: well, do you know how hard this is all for me? You're supposed to help me be happy. Me: so when it comes to my happiness, stress, needs, and overall well-being, fuck me. Get over it, right? Wife: we all have our own problems. You need to figure it out and get over them. I do not know who the woman I am at home with is, but that was not the woman I married and vowed to spend my life with and raise our kids together. Since that conversation, I have been noticeably distant with her. I have been sleeping in my office, on the couch, or with my kids in their bed after putting either one of them to sleep. Still, does not change her starting her day at 10 a.m. and sitting on her phone talking to her mom groups between cooking meals with the kids in both my mother-in-law's and nanny's care. Nothing has changed, and I doubt that anything will change. Sadly, I think even if we got a divorce, nothing would change or feel different anyway, since during my wife's leaving, the days seemed like any other day except with a little more takeout than usual. My main fear is not that I would just lose my wife, but that I would lose my kids in the process. So I guess it is sad to say the grand finale to my story, like a lot of men and some women I have talked to here, I will just continue to smile and suffer in silence. Curious Tsukihime said, "Damn, OP, I just want to give him a hug. Life is too short for this kind of suffering. If her whole family is on his side, he should cut his losses." Princess Alice said, "If this is him ruining her life, then sign me up. Jesus Christ. Here I am, feeling like a leech despite my hard work, dealing with a full-time job, a physical disability, and a child, while she's doing almost nothing. He needs to divorce her. She has the means to find a job, she just can't be bothered. He's already providing all of the child care anyway, and I'm betting a meal service would be a lot cheaper than keeping her around. Oh, and before anyone points out that she clearly has mental health issues, so do I. My postpartum depression has only recently settled into mild to moderate, but I put in the work and got the help I desperately needed. She's content to stew in her misery and make everyone around her miserable too. She's actively refusing help and sees nothing wrong with her behavior." This next post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "My fiance wants me to put his family before mine, even when it's at the expense of my family's health." OP, a 28-year-old woman, is engaged to her partner of 7 years, Rob, a 29-year-old man. Both sides of their families are happy for them. In early 2023, OP's sister, Kim, aged 32, had an eye infection that developed into an ulcer. Unfortunately, Kim had to undergo emergency surgery immediately on her eye, which coincided with the day OP was supposed to attend a family dinner with Rob's brother. OP texted Rob to inform him that she was going to be with Kim as Kim's wife was unavailable at work and OP's mother and stepfather were away. Rob reminded her about the family dinner, insisting she was expected to be there with no excuses. Due to Kim's eye condition, she had to be transported to a different hospital to have the emergency surgery, which was scheduled for the evening. OP knew she would not be able to make it to Rob's family dinner. She texted Rob to let him know, and he became angry. Rob told OP to leave Kim at the hospital and have Kim's wife pick her up afterward. However, Kim's wife was still unavailable and could not have her phone on for OP to reach her. OP then sent a text message to Rob's mother to explain the situation. Rob's mother was very supportive and advised OP to stay with Kim. Rob's brother was very understanding once OP told him Kim's operation was successful. For days afterward, Rob was very short with OP, and they had a huge fight over OP's priorities. He told OP that she should have put his family meal before Kim's health. OP managed to get things sorted out with Rob, or so she thought. Rob's family had another family dinner a few weeks later, which Rob's brother attended and OP was able to attend this time. The family asked OP about her sister's eye progress. After returning home from dinner, Rob became very angry again and told OP she should not have brought up Kim's health to his family. He said OP needs to put him and his family first before her own sister, or things would not work out. He added that once OP and Rob are married, she should get used to the fact that Rob's family comes first. OP then packed a bag and left for her mother's house, with Rob bombarding her mobile with calls and texts. Update: OP decided to end things with Rob. She had to work on getting Rob out of her house because she is the rightful owner, as it was her grandmother's house previously. OP made phone calls regarding evicting Rob. She is in the UK where they have a Section 8 notice, which is basically a 14-day eviction notice. It was the quickest way to get Rob out. OP decided to meet with Rob in a pub on a Friday where OP's stepdad and his work friends regularly attend. OP got straight to the point with Rob. It was all over. OP said she could not be with someone who did not give her any support, especially while dealing with her sister's health. Rob was upset because OP chose to end the relationship. OP gave Rob the eviction notice and her engagement ring. Rob had a few weeks to find another place because she needed her house back. OP was able to spend time with her stepdad and waited until Rob left. It was the safest way, so Rob could not approach her when her stepdad was around. Back home, Rob sent OP a message saying he was going to contest the eviction notice and noted that he and OP are not over yet. Rob then told OP he would move out if she paid him £10,000, which he knew she did not have lying around. This was because he paid for half of the electric, gas, Wi-Fi, and Sky package. OP was very irritated about this, so she called Sandra to talk some sense into Rob. Sandra was appalled by what OP told her. She asked to speak with OP in person at OP's house while Rob was away until late. OP and Kim met with Sandra to figure out how to get Rob out of OP's house. Sandra planned to have Rob's brother present and make sure Rob does not take anything that isn't his from the house. Sandra now has Rob staying with her. OP took the proper steps to change the codes and locks on her house. Cameras are being installed around the house. Sandra asked to talk with OP because there were things OP needed to know. It turned out Rob was exhibiting similar behaviors to those his father had during his marriage to Sandra. She left Rob's father when Rob was 10. The reason was that Rob's father punched Rob's brother in the face when he was 14. Sandra originally thought OP knew Rob's father had not been in the picture for years after she left. Sandra then found out Rob had been back in contact with his father for the past year. Rob's father had been putting bad thoughts in Rob's head about having control over his relationship with OP. That was the cause of Rob's demands that OP put his family first before her own. When Sandra found out the truth, she kicked Rob out of her house. Rob's brother was angry too. Sandra and Rob's brother have confirmed Rob is not invited to their house for Christmas if he spends time with his father. Rob then went to stay with his father, only to find out his father did not want him to live with him either. OP has now blocked Rob on everything and would call the police if he turned up at her house. Update 2. OP had not heard from Rob in weeks until he showed up at her house. Rob told OP that he had nowhere to live because his parents would not house him. He begged OP to take him back and let him live with her. OP said no and asked him to leave or she would call the police. She had cameras all over her house and caught his behavior. Rob went to OP's and his mutual friends begging for a place to crash. Sandra found out what Rob was doing and OP told her what happened at her house. Sandra informed OP that she was selling her house and moving away to be near Rob's brother. Rob had been couch surfing at his friends' houses, but they kicked him out because it was almost Christmas time, and the friends wanted to enjoy their time with their own friends instead of having to listen to Rob crying. OP added an edit to this post regarding meeting up with the wife of one of Rob's friends the next day to share something with OP. Update 3. OP met up with the wife of one of Rob's friends, Nat, 30, and her husband, Zach, 29. Nat explained to OP about Rob. He had called Zach to ask if he could crash at their house for a few days. Zach cleared it with Nat. All Rob had to do was follow Zach and Nat's house rules because Rob could not move into a flat until January. One rule was no bringing women to the house and having to be quiet at night because Zach and Nat have their 6-year-old daughter. It did not last. The next night, Rob went to a pub and woke Zach and Nat up by arguing with a woman back at the house. Zach and Nat had to separate Rob and the woman, and Nat sent the woman home. Rob made offensive statements toward Nat, which resulted in Zach pinning Rob against the wall. Rob had to sleep off the alcohol he drank that night. Nat demanded that Zach kick Rob out of their house. Zach decided to meet up with Rob to find out what was going on in his head. It turned out Rob lied to Sandra about his contact with his father. It was longer than what Sandra told OP. Rob had been in touch with his father for over 2 years instead of 1 year. Rob's father believes a woman's place is in the kitchen and bedroom, and a man's place is to rule the house and control his wife regarding what she has to do for him. Rob believes that his life should be the way his father told him. After the conversation, Zach and Nat decided to go no contact with Rob because they do not want him around their daughter. OP thanked Zach and Nat for sharing the situation regarding Rob. OP has taken further steps to keep her social media private, so Rob will not be able to find her online. Update 4. OP shared that she is okay. She received a phone call from one of Rob's friends, informing her that Rob was going to spend Christmas in prison. It was discovered that on Saturday night, Rob got into a physical fight with his father. His father fell backward and hit his head. An ambulance and police were called. Rob left before the police could stop him. Rob's father is pressing charges for the physical assault. Rob was arrested the next morning at the bed and breakfast where he had been staying. He had to appear before the magistrate court the following business day, Monday. Because Rob did not have a permanent address to go to, he had to stay in prison until his trial at Crown Court. Sandra is now over 250 miles away from where Rob was and will not be helping him at all. Once OP found out what happened, she felt a good sense of peace. Update 5. OP dropped by Zach and Nat's place to spend time with the family. Zach and Nat filled OP in on what to expect regarding Rob's case. He would be spending Christmas in prison and was likely to get out the following January. OP explained the charges Rob is facing at this point. His lawyer was working on getting the charges reduced from Section 18 with intent to Section 20. Section 18 with intent is one step down from attempted murder, and he is looking at double digits in prison if found guilty. Section 20 is less severe and usually results in a 2-year suspended sentence for first-time offenders, which Rob is. He is not allowed to get in touch with OP without her consent. OP does not plan to have phone calls with Rob. Sandra and Rob's brother have refused to talk with him any further. Rob's father is still hospitalized with a broken hip and had to have surgery. Update 6. OP shared an update on Rob as some new information came up. He spent Christmas in prison but did not get out until the second week of January because Sandra agreed to let him stay with her again. Rob has a hearing in February, during which he agreed to plead guilty to Section 20 and then wait for his sentencing court date. OP did not know how much would go into the sentencing as the court needed to collect several major statements, including a victim impact statement, reports from probation, and family statements. Rob used his breakup with OP as a circumstance that caused him to lose everything and impacted his mental health. Sandra's and Rob's brother's statements confirmed that Rob had lived in an abusive home and believes he has PTSD. Rob was initially going to serve 3 years, but the judge gave him a 16-month sentence, which is suspended for 18 months. He is not allowed to be around his father, must attend counseling, and abstain from alcohol. Rob was given an ankle monitor to detect alcohol use. He has moved to a flat provided by probation and is away from OP. As for OP, she has been visiting her sister and her sister's wife. She is still working at the same place. Her sister Kim is doing okay despite her eye situation. She had a setback but is doing better. Update 7. I really hoped I wouldn't have to come back, but I've had several direct messages on this account saying that a TikTok video is claiming that I'm back with my ex. I don't have TikTok, so I haven't seen it, but that's 100% not true. I haven't seen or spoken to him since my last update. As far as I'm aware, he's still living in the city, half an hour away, and is doing okay. I am not really interested, to be honest. Rob's mom has accepted an offer on her house and has moved in with his brother until she can finalize the purchase of her house and find a flat she likes. Everyone else is doing well, my sister is the same, and her eye is still healing. She's got some new glasses and says her vision is now nearly back to normal, so that's good. My sister and 7 other family members and friends went out to Germany for England's first game, which was a lot of fun. Other than that, I've just been working and finding my new normal. Please don't listen to anything said about this on TikTok, YouTube, or anywhere else. I will not be getting back with Rob. That ship has sailed off the edge of a cliff. Update 8. So I got a new phone and completely forgot about this account. I only came back because I bumped into Rob a couple of hours ago and remembered this. Logging on, I've got messages saying that Rob has posted his version of the story here. He hasn't. He doesn't have Reddit, he hates all types of social media, he has Instagram, but that's it. And he barely ever uses it. So whoever posted something claiming to be him is lying. As for Rob, he still lives in a nearby city and was just back to visit some friends. We had a quick hi and bye conversation, that's about it. I've been dating someone for the past 6 months and things are going slowly but great so far. I'm not sure about Rob, but he seemed to be doing okay. That's it. I just wanted to address the ex's story crap I've had messages about. I haven't read it as I don't know where to find it, but it's apparently been on TikTok, which I don't have. Edit, I've also just read a direct message that said I was lying about my sister's emergency operation because there's no way she would have been able to have the surgery at 5:30 and be home by 9. To address this, the surgery was done under local anesthetic. It took less than 15 minutes for them to cut away the damaged cornea and then superglue the hole. They then reinflated the eye and put a bandage lens over it. They kept her until about 7:15 to make sure the glue was doing its job and then let her go home. She had to go back to our local hospital the next morning at 9 a.m. to make sure her eye wasn't leaking and was still inflated. Her wife took her to that appointment. There's a huge shortage of beds in UK hospitals, so unless they 100% need to keep you in, you get sent home as soon as possible. If I knew how to attach a picture, I would put one here of her zombie eye. Turuil said, "I'm glad that OP is thriving after all of the Reddit-worthy chaos and drama. If I'm being perfectly honest, I'm even glad that Rob has seemingly learned his lesson as well, not for his sake, but for his family. His mom and brother seem like decent people. I doubt they enjoyed losing their brother and son to his father's influence." Siren Stitch Witch said, "People trying to have a gotcha moment because of a fast surgery is a bit silly. Even in the United States, surgeries can move pretty fast. I'm betting countries with better healthcare can probably move even faster. My wife had eye surgery years ago and was in and out super fast. I had a hysterectomy, I needed to be there by 9 a.m. and was awake by about 1 p.m., ready to go home an hour or so after that." Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.